Hello, my name is Protik Mukhopadhyay. I'm an entrepreneur and an author. I'll be hosting the Reimagine Sales Systems podcast, where I'll be bringing some of the industry thought leaders who will be sharing their go to market strategies for their business systems.
Welcome, everyone. Today, I have the pleasure of welcoming Brent Booth. He's the VP of Business Applications at PlanSource. Thank you, Brent, for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Brent, can you share a little bit about your personal journey in the enterprise space and share with our listeners about how have you kind of reached to this point at PlanSource?
Yeah, for sure. So I used to sell cell phones and things like that, and I was really burned out of selling things, and so the world of sales operations and just general operations of the company was really appealing to me. And so I made a plunge back in 2010, getting into the world of sales ops, and quickly learned about a tool called Salesforce and learned everything I could possibly learn about it. Kind of locked myself in a room and watched all the old trainings they used to do before Trailhead came out. And then I just applied a lot of that knowledge to my day-to-day job as a sales ops analyst. Went through a few different organizations, finally got to be kind of a solo admin. And that's really where I learned more about making business applications and ecosystem versus kind of just a centralized, everybody's just using Salesforce for all these different things. It's really, more about creating scalable end-to-end business processes, really strong data flows between systems, and really solid change management process. So I started focusing my career more on that ecosystem. And so for the last 6 years, I've kind of taken up more leadership roles and becoming really an evangelist for that technology stack. And so at PlanSource, we started with a really, pretty developed, advanced org, had, some pretty significant challenges. And over the last 5 years, worked really hard to understand more about the business, how it functions, how departments work together, how we sell our product, how we go to market. And then over the last 2 years, we designed a completely new Salesforce instance, which, and really business applications architecture, I'll say, that really fit the needs of our entire business in all the channels we sell in and all the unique ways that we bill and invoice customers. So that's kind of been the last 2 years of my life, has really been that project. If anybody's familiar with kind of the Vista ecosystem, that's our owners, our private equity funding owners. We went through our large project to transform all of our technology, and that just wrapped up 2 months ago. So now we're living in this kind of post go live world, and it's been a really fun journey to kind of move from early in my career being just a Salesforce admin and kind of focused on sales operations to now being laser focused on making sure the company has scalable business processes and really strong data governance, and kind of just governance of all the platforms that we oversee.
Interesting, Brent, and a remarkable journey. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
So talking about PlanSource, for our listeners, can you share a little bit about your company's go-to-market strategy? How do you make revenue? How much is of it direct and channel? And obviously, related to that is, what systems have you put in to make those sales motion?
Yeah. So PlanSource has kind of a unique business model. Being in the insurance industry, we are a leveraged distribution model. And so all of our transactions are through insurance brokers, and we work with both the broker and the end customer to ensure it's a good fit. from a technology perspective for the customers to manage their insurance benefits on. So with that model, we sell direct through brokers, and we also sell through a really strong reseller channel. So we have hundreds of reseller partners, some of them very large national brokers, some of them more smaller boutique type brokers. And so our go-to-market strategy used to be more heavy on the direct, we call it the referral side of our business, directly through all the brokers. More and more, we've been focusing on the reseller network, though. It's far more lucrative. There's a lot more partner support for the onboarding of our customers and the overall support of our customers. So it's been really fun to watch PlanSource blossom and kind of shift our market focus a little bit and watch us grow. It's been great.
So what systems have you put in place, Brent, to make it kind of functional? Like you mentioned a little bit about Salesforce, but just curious, do you have any homegrown system or you have other modules of Salesforce?
Yeah, excuse me. So we just implemented that whole new framework, which from the beginning of the journey, we use Pardot for all of our marketing activity. We use Salesforce, obviously, for all of the kind of typical sales and service cloud items. We implemented Salesforce CPQ as a quoting tool. And then with that, an integration using Dell Boomi, which connects up to our NetSuite instance for automated order entry. So we also implemented Financial Force, which is a tool that our launch team is using to track all the onboardings of our new customers, and also any SOW work that we do for our client base. We have, a CLM tool kind of peppered in there that we use for some of our really custom contracts called Aptus. And then we have a ton of just like small little third-party add-ons just to help us with various areas of our business. So my team is, as business applications and reporting, we oversee all of that architecture, all the requirements, the enhancements, and just kind of day-to-day administration of those tools. But then we also have a data warehouse with a Power BI visual layer on top of it. And I also oversee that too. So it's kind of that whole end-to-end customer journey, not only from a process, but data, and also the outcomes and the reporting and analytics that comes out of all of that.
Very interesting. And any recent projects, Brent, that went live or you took, and some best practices you want to share with our practitioners of how to look at this as a transformation project, what to do, what not to do?
Yeah, well, so as I mentioned a little bit earlier, about almost the last 2 years of my life, it feels like we've been really focused on that tech stack refresh project. We called it Project Marvel. Probably one of the most complicated, gratifying projects I've worked on in my career. The biggest takeaways from that project and lessons learned, which is kind of fresh timing, so I think this is timely for us to talk about, is really just that cross-functional alignment between all of the business units. We call them tracks. It helped us really see through all of the thought process of, well, we used to do it this way. When we came together as a team and really spoke about what is the end-to-end business process that we're trying to solve for here for sales and marketing and operations. Really just having that highly cross-functional conversation between all the tracks really set the project up for a lot more success had we not done that. So it allowed us all to see into each other's business units and ensure that what we were putting in at the beginning of the funnel equaled, a successful outcome for the sales team. It also equaled a successful outcome for our finance team. And it also equaled a successful outcome for our customer in their onboarding process. So it's really important for all of us to be, very focused on the success of each of the tracks and ensuring that we had systems to support and data that flowed nicely through all of the different business systems. And the integrations were built in a very thoughtful and considerate way. So that's the biggest takeaway that I have from the project is did we do perfect at it? No, of course not. There's
Mm-hmm.
a really large project. It's error prone. We made mistakes, of course, but that focus helped a lot, and even more focus would have helped it even more so. Ensuring you have the right resources, that was a really big, looking in the rearview mirror, I wish we would have built more of a team to support this, because it's definitely a really large journey to go through, and you need to have the right people that can dedicate the right amount of time to it and have the right expertise to support it post go live.
Brent, one of the biggest issues is adoption, right? So I think as a technical leader, you could do a lot of these changes, but anything you did specifically to make sure the systems were adopted and they had the salespeople or the users essentially were able to give feedback?
Yeah. So a couple of things we did on the change management front. One is we actually had a track in the project that was called change management, and their role was strictly focused on listening in on all of our day-to-day meetings and understanding what sort of impact everything that we were discussing and changing about their lives was documented, one, and in all of our training and communication before go live. So having change management involved early on, it was our entire learning and development team was involved super early on in the project. That helped a ton. We also had change champions throughout the project, throughout the company rather, that were included in the project. So they were brought in during all of the end of every dev cycle, every test cycle. They were brought in to help us actually test this new system and get kind of a preview of what was happening. And those change champions were strategically placed throughout the entire company. So these were salespeople on the front line. These were our business development reps. These were all of our customer success and customer support reps. So this helped us kind of evangelize the good things that were coming as part of Project Marvel, and prepare everybody for how dramatic of a shift this was going to be. This isn't just a very small project. This is a big bang, and it's very disruptive. So we try to be very thoughtful about the change process and really ensure that the company knew what was happening well in advance, and that a lot of the people in this company were involved in it, so they could help kind of shape and shift how it was being designed, kind of in the midst of the project. So it helped a lot.
How was COVID? Like, did COVID have any impact on your project priority? As you look at 2021, are you looking at any initiatives within PlanSource that were essentially shaped due to COVID?
Oh my gosh, yeah, COVID really did a number. So we were about a month away from beginning development of Project Marvel when COVID really struck the United States. And we, as a company, had to make the decision to put the project on hold because there's a huge financial commitment to this project, and we just weren't sure how it was going to work with everybody being remote. Because up until then, we had been traveling and meeting as a large group, had this awesome synergy between each other, and we'd spend days in a conference room just really talking through all this stuff, and it was really great. And then to have all that completely shut off and move to a Zoom meeting, we didn't know what the impact was going to be. We didn't know how we would all adapt to that and if it would be as successful. So the project was placed on hold. So we waited the summer out to see kind of how things were going with COVID and the economy. And we realized, during this pause that our business couldn't wait for this project to get off the ground. We desperately needed better technology to run our business. We desperately needed better data. We desperately needed that visibility and reporting out of our key systems that we just did not have from the systems we had before. So it was actually more expensive for us to not move forward with the project. So we decided, I think it was about August, to kick the project back off. We'd already documented everything at that point, so we're kind of able to just pick up again. But it was a really big shift. All of us getting used to being in this format, talking to each other. It was cool because everybody was like, we missed seeing each other, so we all shared our cameras, and it was awesome to be able to have that collaboration that felt pseudo in person, but you could also be wearing sweatpants if you wanted to. So I guess that's kind of nice. In the end, we did a great job at it. We all adapted really well, I think, as evident in the job market and kind of how people have embraced working from home. We all did a really good job with it. And so it actually wasn't as big of an impact in the end as we thought it was going to be. And at the end of the project, luckily enough, we were all able to be vaccinated and get back together and see each other at the end of the project. We all went to Universal Studios together, and it was super fun. So COVID had a big impact at first, but I think in the end, we figured out how to bring ourselves together and still be successful.
This is really insightful. So Brent, imagine somebody starting their career, a business analyst. What feedback or suggestions you would give them if they were to someday become a leader like you? What should they be doing today? What is some of the feedback you have?
Never stop learning. Feedback throughout life. I took a chance on a career that I didn't know would turn into what I'm doing today. I had no idea what Salesforce was at the time. I had no idea what NetSuite, Dell Boomi, like all these weird tools. I had no idea what those were 12 years ago. So I have really leaned into learning everything I can about technology, and I focus a great deal on learning about how the business runs, how processes impact each business unit. And so, my advice to somebody wanting to get into this field is, do it. Of course, it's a great opportunity, and I love what I do for a living. But focus so much on learning what technology can do for a business, and learning how to really immerse yourself in business processes and become invaluable in helping the business solve for deficiencies in those processes.
That's a very insightful feedback, Brent. And yes, I mean, your journey is really inspiring. Like you said, you got into this career and now you have sort of built a legacy, and you're building so many solutions and they're making impact. So really helpful. So with that, I would really like to thank Brent today for his time, sharing his journey in the enterprise space, talking about the systems that you have deployed, and also some of the best practices. So thank you, Brent, today for your time.
Oh, thank you. It's great to meet you.
So with that, I would like to wrap up this podcast. Thank you all for tuning into Reimagine Enterprise Sales Systems. To listen to more exciting podcasts, please visit my website, protikm.com or protikm.com, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcast, and other channels that you follow, so that you'll never miss your show.